The Jaguars are the best team in the AFC, and I'm going to tell you why I'm picking them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm going to break this down for you top to bottom, and I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. First part, I'm going to explain to you why the Jaguars are better than you think they are right now. Second part is their current roster construction and why they are built to be an elite team down the stretch and have success in the postseason. The third part is going to be why they're just as good as any other AFC contender and why they match up favorably against any other team in the AFC. Let's get into it. To start this out, I'm going to explain to you why the Jaguars are better than you think they are right now. The main thing I hear against the Jaguars when discussing them as an elite team is they've played an easy schedule. Except, no, they haven't. They have the strongest strength of schedule thus far of any division leader in the entire NFL. The teams they've played against have a higher win percentage than any division leader in the fucking league. They're tied for the best record in the AFC and the strongest strength of schedule thus far of any division leader. They're winning just as many games as everyone else against tougher opponents. Now, I don't make the fucking rules here, but that sounds like a pretty good team to me. The Jaguars are also the only team in the NFL with a top 10 offensive points per game and a top 10 defensive points per game, where they rank 10th in both. They're 6th in the NFL in turnover ratio. They have the 4th overall rush defense, which means they're hard to run against, which means teams abandon the run and throw on them over and over again and become one-dimensional, which means their pass rushers get to tee off. However, as a result, they have the 32nd ranked pass defense, which sucks, but they're tied for the lead in interceptions. So they might be giving up yards, but they're also using that increased volume to force turnovers. Action equal reaction. The Jaguars are also one of the few teams in the NFL who are getting better and better each week. I've watched every single game this team has played this season, and you can watch them and see them improve on a week to week basis. They do something a little better each week than the previous week. Let's also take a second to talk about the Jaguars since week 9 of last season, because that was truly the point where they began this turnaround. Since week 9 of last season, which is a 19 game sample size, including the playoffs, the Jaguars are 14-5 with 1 playoff win. And 3 of those 5 losses were against the Chiefs. So they're 14-2 against teams that do not have Patrick Mahomes under center. Now go ahead and tell me another team with a resume like that. I'll hold my breath while you figure it out. So now I've explained why the Jaguars are better than you think they are right now. Their roster construction is everything you would want out of an elite, potentially Super Bowl winning team. I'm talking position group by position group. Let's start at the top. They have an elite quarterback, which is basically a prerequisite at this point. Trevor Lawrence is that guy. His stats aren't dominant this season, I'll admit it, but he has a passer rating of over 100 in 5 straight games. And since week 9 of last season, which is 16 regular season games, his touchdown to interception ratio is 5-1. His completion percentage has gone up this season, and his QBR is up this season as well. They also have a Super Bowl winning head coach. So they have someone on the staff who knows how to win games, and they have someone who's been there and done that. Doug Peterson might also be the only person on earth who can say they outcoached Bill Belichick while he had Brady and with a backup quarterback. They put up 41 points against the greatest defensive coach ever with Nick Foles. And the guy he's got under center now is a little better than Nick Foles is. They also have an elite running back who's inexpensive, and that's important. We've all seen this fucking thing showing that running back salaries with Super Bowl winning teams. ETN's still on his rookie deal, and he's really kind of the backbone of this team, and he can do it all. He can run up the middle. He's explosive outside. He has excellent hands and is a receiving threat. He's just an all-around excellent player, and he's inexpensive. They also have one of the top receiving cores in the NFL. It's a weapons league, and we've seen how much that matters, especially recently. The Jaguars are top 3 to top 5 in the NFL. They're in the mix with the Bengals, 49ers, Dolphins, Eagles. And if you disagree, it's because you're not watching them. But it's okay because I am. They've struggled with some drops, but as they continue to put it together as the season have gone on, this unit is deadly and they have multiple guys who can beat you in any given game. They also have a legitimate pass rush. We all know last season they spent their number one pick on Trayvon Walker, who's had his ups and downs. But Josh Allen on the other side is currently tied for second in the league in sacks with 9. He's been all over the fucking place this season and is a legitimate defensive player of the year candidate. Their linebacking unit is also pretty good. Foyesade Olakin is regularly an NFL tackles leader, if not the leader, and this season he's second in the NFL in tackles. Now their secondary is probably one of their weak spots as a whole, but Darius Williams, their corner, has a higher PFF grade than Sauce Gardner and Patrick Surtain. And their safety, Andre Cisco, is also one of the most underrated defensive backs in the league. Jaguars' only true weakness is their offensive line, which has given up more pressures and sacks than you'd ideally like to see. But they just traded for one of the best pass blocking guards in the NFL in Ezra Cleveland. Given, I don't think a guard is going to be the savior of this team, but even if it's not everything, it is something, and they got better at their weakest point. And despite all of that, we've seen teams like the Bengals do well in the recent past without the best offensive line in the world. So as a roster, they're extremely complete. And moreover, they're built how recent Super Bowl winning rosters have been built. We've seen this show before. An excellent quarterback on a rookie deal with great weapons, an inexpensive running back, an excellent pass rush, and a Super Bowl winning head coach. That's how Super Bowl rosters have been built recently. And that's the exact construction that the Jaguars have. They are built for success in January and February. So I've explained to you why the Jaguars roster construction is built for success in the postseason. I've also explained to you why they're better than you think they are right now. Now, I'm going to explain to you why they match up favorably against other AFC contenders. Let's start with the Chiefs. Versus the Chiefs' offense stinks. I've been telling you this all season long. They're averaging 22 points per game against teams that are not the Bears. They just lost to the Broncos by more than 2 touchdowns, and Russell Wilson, who you think is trash, has a better touchdown to interception ratio than Patrick Mahomes does this season. There's problems with that Chiefs offense. Versus the Bengals have played 2 good games this entire season. Now, I will admit they look like they're headed in the right direction. However, they have one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, which isn't a good look when you're potentially matched up against Travis Etienne. Their offensive line still stinks, but Joe Burrow regularly overcomes it. But it could be an issue when the Jaguars have someone like Josh Allen. Versus the NFL is a weapons league, and the Jaguars' weapons are significantly better than the Ravens are. I respect the hell out of Mark Andrews and Zay Flowers, but Zay Flowers is a rookie. Do we actually trust him to produce in the postseason? And do we trust anybody else besides him in this Ravens receiving core? I don't. You could say that the Ravens play complementary football and they'll just lean on their run game, but that hasn't worked for the Ravens in previous postseasons, and the Jaguars have the 4th ranked overall run defense. So that matchup is a good matchup for the Jaguars. Now, where the matchup with the Ravens concerns me is the Ravens pass rush is ferocious, and when the Jaguars have a middle of the pack offensive line, that's a concern for Jacksonville. Versus the Bills are the most up and down team in the entire NFL, and their defense is extremely beat up, and we've already seen the Jaguars beat them. Versus the Dolphins have scored 20 points and 17 points in the 2 games they played against defenses that are in the top 15. I'm extremely low on the Dolphins team. I think they're fraudulent. I have said that since the beginning. So I don't think I'm the best person to do an analysis of Dolphins versus Jaguars because I think the Jaguars are significantly better than the Dolphins are. So that's it. I've just explained to you why the Jaguars are the best team in the AFC. They have a roster built for postseason success. They're better than you think they are right now, and they match up favorably with every single other AFC team. What more could you possibly want? Jaguars to the Super Bowl, baby. That's it. That's my take. That's my show. Let me know if you think I was wrong. Feel free to hit me in the comments. Feel free to like and subscribe. Take care, everybody.